Riddle me this. Name a fighting game character whose primary color is red, has an unmistakable distinct voice, and an affinity for using psycho power. If you're a Capcom fan, then I'm sure the first thing that came to your mind is the Street Fighter evil dictator, M. Bison. And while you're technically right, this isn't exactly who I've had in mind. You see, if I've had a dime for every character that fit this description, then I'd have 2 dimes, which isn't a lot, but weird that it happened twice. The character and second dime I'm referring to is none other than SNK's pop idol, Athena Asamiya. Athena is an alien fighting esper by day and a teenage singing pop star by night. Her popularity from both SNK internally and from the international fans led to her being somewhat of an unofficial mascot, with her having loads of figurines and appearing on SNK promotional merchandise alongside characters like Terry Bogard and Mai Shirai Nui. Athena is the protagonist of SNK's 1987 arcade platformer, Psycho Soldier. In this game, Athena is joined by her close friend and #1 simp Kenso as they defend Earth from various aliens and monsters in a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up. The game itself feels highly dated by today's standards, but it does live on in history for one important fact. Psycho Soldier is the first video game ever to have a vocal track. Give it a listen if you haven't. It's got this cute charm to it as the singer kinda sounds unsure of herself and the microphone is hilariously peaking. Athena Asamiya made her fighting game debut in the King of Fighters 1994 as the leader of Team China, where she is joined by Kenso and their martial arts teacher Chen Gensai. Although she's never been the center of attention in KOF's main storylines, Athena has been present for every mainline KOF game, sometimes with different teams. In fact, one of Athena's most defining features is that with every new KOF game, she has a brand new hairstyle and costume, making her the fighting game character with the most redesigns. She also reminds me of Bulma from the Dragon Ball series, who herself has a new design in each saga and is often considered the most important lady of the franchise. Athena has quite the few voice actresses in her history. KOF 94 Athena is voiced by Reiko Fukui, KOF 95 Athena is Mo Nagasaki, KOF 96 Athena is voiced by Tamal Seto, and KOF 97 Athena is voiced by Yukina Kurisu. Starting in KOF 98 up until the present day, Athena has been voiced by Haruna Ikizawa. Haruna has a big list of credits, where some of her notable ones is where she's voiced characters like Coco from the Crash Bandicoot series, voiced various characters across the Tales series, and my personal favorite, Hiroko Haruna and Tarahama-chan aka Sandy from the Hamtaro series. Hey look, don't judge me, alright? We're still not even done with her voices, as Athena has had a few English dubs as well. Her KOF Maximum Impact voice actor is Robin Griff. Maximum Impact 2 and KOF Another Day anime is voiced by Lily Kong. And last but not least, her KOF 12 voice actor is Miwa Gardner. Before we go into her crossover appearances, I want to touch briefly on the other 2 Athena games. The first game is Athena's Wonderland, which is another platformer game made by SNK in 1986. If you're wondering why Athena has a different outfit in this game, that's because this isn't the same character. This is Goddess Athena, and the Athena that we know of from KOF is her descendant. Goddess Athena uses weapons like a sword and shield to take on mythological creatures, some of which she has as allies in her fighting game movesets. The third and final Athena game is even weirder than these. Athena, awakening from the ordinary life, takes a rather dark turn on our glittery girl. Athena's psycho powers are beginning to form, and she uses them in this 3D RPG-like game to solve puzzles and talk to other NPCs for clues. This game gets compared to classic Resident Evil a lot due to its similar fixed camera angles, tank controls, as well as its unsettling nature. This game is non-canon and only ever came out in Japan on the PlayStation 1, so it's highly rare, but do yourself a favor and watch the game over screens. Spooky stuff, bro. Huge thanks to the 7th Force for allowing me to do this intro for you all, and now, without further ado,
Athena's design in Capcom vs SNK 2 is taken from the King of Fighters 95. It's pretty similar to her KOF 94 design, the main addition being the crystal on her hip in the 95 version. Despite the design, she has her moves from across the series up to around KOF 98 or so. Athena's a character in ZVS2 that can be a bit weird to fight against if you don't already know her bag of tricks. She has a really good projectile that, like others in the game, gets better when you roll cancel it. She has some pretty great buttons overall, which makes her an especially effective character in the neutral game. However, she has low health and has to take bigger risks to get any kind of significant damage going. She doesn't have much in the way of combos, and while CVS2 isn't a very combo heavy game, A groove aside, she still struggles more than most. And honestly, she's kind of a knowledge check. Once you know how to navigate around her best buttons and mix up tricks, her game plan is dampened. Most of Athena's moves in King of Fighters, and by extension CVS2, are original to KOF, but a handful of them are also callbacks to Psycho Soldier. We'll talk about them as we go. Athena can perform a wall jump when at the corners of the screen. This is carried over from her ability to do this in KOF. Athena has two command normals to touch on. First is Renkan Tai, done with forward and medium kick. This is a 2-hit kick attack she's had in KOF since the beginning, where it's traditionally her close D normal. Next is Phoenix Bomb, done with down and medium kick. This attack bounces Athena away regardless if it hits or is blocked, and allows for another aerial action before landing. Athena's also had this one since KOF 94. Athena's first special move is her most famous, Psycho Ball, done with a quarter circle back and punch. Psycho Ball! Its speed is dependent on the punch button pressed, with light punch being the slowest and heavy being the fastest. This has historically always been one of Athena's best neutral tools, its ubiquity matched only by people's ire for how annoying that voice clip can get after a while. Psycho Ball is taken from Psycho Soldier, where they're more of a defensive utility, shielding Athena or Kento from projectile attacks. They can be used offensively though, more on that later. Psycho Sword is Athena's anti-air, done with a Dragon Punch motion and punch. There's two immediately noticeable things about this attack. One, it can be done in the air. Two, it also has a fair bit of startup, so it can potentially be unreliable as a reactionary anti-air. Athena first got Psycho Sword in KOF 95. Next up is new Psycho Reflector, done with a half circle back and kick. As the move name suggests, Athena pushes out a bundle of Psycho energy that reflects projectiles. Athena will do a small little hop before conjuring the shield if you're using the medium or heavy kick variations. Athena's had Psycho Reflector since the very beginning in KOF 94, though it was a more traditional reflector shield there. In KOF 96, she got a reworked version, New Psycho Reflector, which added the hop to the heavy variant. This is the version her CVS2 incarnation uses. Next is Super Psychic Throw, done with a half circle forward and punch. This is a command grab that launches the opponent up into the air. You can jump and combo after this as well, which is especially useful in A groove since it's a good way to secure a custom combo activation. Athena first got this move in KOF 97. Next up is Phoenix Arrow, done with a quarter circle back and kick during a jump. This is a rolling dive that ends with a grounded kick depending on the kick button pressed. This move can be Tiger Kneed if you want to do it closer to the ground for whatever reason. This one's another move Athena's had in her kit since KOF 94. Next up is Psychic Teleport, done with a quarter circle forward and kick, the kick strength determining the teleport distance. Athena flies forward with a dash that can potentially cross the opponent up. The light variation of the teleport is generally used for throw mix-ups. Light teleport into a command grab is a legitimate threat for those that don't know it's coming. Athena first got this one in KOF 96. Athena's first super is Shining Crystal Bit, done with a double half circle back motion and punch. Athena summons 2 orbs around her that linger for a bit before disappearing. This is a good reversal tool and can also be done in the air as well. Athena having the orbs rotate around her is a callback to how Psycho Ball functions in Psycho Soldier, where they do much the same thing. She first got this in KOF 94 as her desperation move. However, she didn't get the ability to perform this in the air until my personal favorite King of Fighters game, KOF 98. Speaking of KOF 98, there's also a small Easter egg there where if you perform the max mode version of this move, she'll occasionally briefly take on the appearance of her goddess ancestor. Athena also has 2 possible follow-ups to this as well. Doing a quarter circle back and punch motion during it initiates Crystal Shoot.
Psycho Ball! Psycho Ball!
Athena will fire a small projectile with some homing properties at the opponent that can be charged if the punch button is held down. This move is directly taken from Psycho Soldier, and specifically, Athena's ability to fire Psycho Balls at enemies. That said, she first got this edition of Shining Crystal Bit in KOF 95. Athena can also prematurely cancel the move by pressing 2 punch buttons. She first got the ability to do this in KOF 97. Athena's second super is Phoenix Fang Arrow, done with a double quarter circle forward motion and kick in the air. Athena does a series of consecutive Phoenix arrows ending with a kick. The stronger the kick button, the more hits the super does. Athena first got this move in KOF 97. Athena, like the rest of the cast, has victory dialogue for the entire cast, both as an opponent and as teammates, but only in the Japanese version, since the international releases opted for generic win quotes for everyone. The most notable ones though are with Bison and Balrog and concern Athena's psycho power. Athena also has a special intro of Sakura.
Live and let die. Fight!
Here are Athena's colors. Color 2 is a green outfit. This is likely based on her second extra mode color from KOF 97. Color 3 is likely based on her 4th color from KOF 98. Color 4 is a blue outfit, with blue traditionally being her player 2 color in KOF games up to this point. Color 5 is likely based on her first extra mode color from KOF 97. I'm not sure if her color 6 is a reference or an original color or not. If you know, I'd love to hear in the comments. Color 7 might be an original color as well, but it does look pretty close to her 3rd color in KOF 98. Color 8 again seems original, though the darker colors for her pants reminds me of her KOF 97 design. So I've been doing comic book recommendations for the Marvel characters, but along the way I started wondering if maybe it'd be worth doing game recommendations for SNK characters and some of the more overlooked Capcom characters. And well, there's no better time than now to get started, right? So, Athena being a KOF mainstay, there's a ton of games in the series to recommend. But I'm going to save my eventual KOF recommendation for a later video. Then there's Psycho Soldier and the self-titled game her goddess ancestor starred in. Both aren't bad, but are pretty dated, and I think a lot of people that can't really jive with that old school arcade mentality probably won't get much out of those games. I'd recommend the PS1 horror game Ro mentioned earlier in the video, but it's Japan only, and as of now hasn't been fan translated yet. I'd still say look up a playthrough of it though, because that game gets wild. That said, there is a game Athena's a part of that isn't any of the ones I've mentioned so far. At least in this video. I've talked about this game on the channel before, but there's no harm in bringing it up again because it's a surprisingly solid little portable fighter. This video's SNK game recommendation is SNK Gau's Fighters, originally released for the Neo Geo Pocket Color. Gau's Fighters is a crossover fighter headlined by SNK's leading fighting game woman. When a talisman that can grant any wish is discovered, a Queen of Fighters tournament is organized by the mysterious Miss X, who totally isn't Iori just cross-dressing, and whoever beats her gets the talisman. The roster is made up of characters like Athena, whose default heroes are KOF 99 design, Mai, Nakaruru, and Yuri, on top of some uncommon picks like Akari from Last Blade, Shiki from Samurai Showdown 64, and even Kyo's girlfriend Yuki. If I had to liken Gau's Fighters to anything, I'd say it's best described as SNK's answer to Pocket Fighter. The cast all have humorous but still effective takes on their iconic movesets, and there's a sense of complete and utter unseriousness to it all that honestly kinda works. Of all of SNK's fighters on the platform, it's arguably the one that plays the best, even over Match of the Millennium. It's a lot faster, and has a less strict combo structure than most other fighters on the system. This is all bookended by an item system which more or less gives you buffs during a match. These range from being able to start matches with full meter or having a boosted damage output for a short time. It also feels smooth in a way that a lot of other fighters on the system don't, likely owed to it being the only SNK fighter on the platform to run at 60 frames per second. This is one of the more expensive games on the Neo Geo Pocket Color, but thankfully, if you have a Switch or something that runs Steam, you can buy the game either standalone, at least on Switch, or as part of the Neo Geo Pocket Color Selection Volume 1. There's even a split screen mode if you want to play locally against your friends, which is pretty neat. It's a fun, silly little time, and I definitely recommend it if you want an easy little fighter to settle into every now and then. If only I had more opportunities to talk about this game. You know, for Athena being pretty popular in KOF early on, it's kind of funny that she wasn't in Capcom vs SNK from the start. Nothing against someone like, say, Vice, but I would have thought Athena would take priority there, but hey. Her CVS2 incarnation is a neat little lens into how Athena was more or less represented in the first 5 or so KOF games, and I do think her sprite work is pretty great. If Capcom vs SNK 3 or even, I don't know, another SNK developed crossover with Capcom happened, I wonder what design she'd have. KOF 15? Something more classic? Her Psycho Soldier design like KOF 12 did? The world may never know, I suppose. I want to thank Rome himself for taking time out of his schedule to do the intro for this video, and do make sure to check his channel and content out. His socials will be in the description. And you can also catch him as a commentator for Tampa Never Sleeps as well. Before I sign off though, I do have one last thing to share. In the comment section for previous SNK characters I've covered, I've been asked if I'll ever cover both Capcom and SNK's characters as depicted in SNK developed crossover games. And while it was always my intent to eventually do so, I wasn't quite sure how I was going to go about it. Today, I'm happy to say that I finally do have a definitive answer to that question. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you next video, but until then, here's a little something to chew on.